isn't it the case that you've basically just filled the gaps that were left by the cuts in the years beforehand? It's not really new officers, it's just making up for what you lost.
Well, good morning and very good to be with you. Well, no, that's not true. We're not filling a gap. We are going, and if we do achieve this target, we will have a record number of police officers ever in the history of policing in England and Wales. So that's higher than any figure that the previous Labour administrations will have reached.
You came to government and there were around 142,000 police officers in England and Wales. And in 2022, there were around 142,000 police officers in England and Wales. In the meantime, under your government, the numbers went down to 121,929 in 2017. So when I say you're just filling the gap, you are simply just filling the gap.
As I said, we're very confident that we're not filling any gaps.
Numbers have gone up, but they're still lower than 2010 levels, aren't they?
Well, we are confident that we're on track to reach our target, our manifesto pledge of recruiting 20,000 new police officers. If we achieve that...
21,000 previously.
If we achieve that goal, we will be in excess of 2010 numbers. We will be at record levels. We will have the highest number of police officers in history in England and Wales. I think that's a huge achievement by policing.
We don't have it at the moment, do we?
A big achievement by the Home Office, actually, and actually a great achievement for the British people and public safety.
Because so many police officers are retiring, 40% of the police officers in this country have not been serving for up to 5 years. We have an inexperienced police force.
No, I disagree with that.
There possibly could be an increase in crossings from people fleeing the conflict in Sudan. You'll be aware of that, Home Secretary. Your colleague Robert Jenrick has said uncontrolled illegal migration threatens to cannibalise, his words, the UK's compassion. Do you concur?
I think that uncontrolled and unprecedented levels of illegal migration are totally unacceptable to our country and to our values. People getting on a boat unlawfully without a legal basis to be in the United Kingdom, paying thousands of pounds to criminal gangs, sometimes doing so tragically, fatally so, is unacceptable. And that's why the Prime Minister made stopping the boats one of his 5 key pledges at the beginning of the year. That's why we're introducing measures to stop this.
The question I was asking, Home Secretary, would you use a word such as cannibalise?
I think that the people coming here illegally do possess values which are at odds with our country.
He said yesterday that people fleeing from Sudan and others, uncontrolled illegal migration is how he described it. He said that they threaten to cannibalise the UK's compassion, essentially calling migrants subhuman. He was saying that they don't adopt our values.
I think that the point that the Minister is making is that unprecedented and uncontrolled levels of immigration into the United Kingdom are unsustainable and unacceptable. I think that's what the vast majority of British people would say.
Values,
I think what we are seeing is an unacceptable level of people coming here illegally. What I do acknowledge and what I'm here to celebrate is the hard work put in by police chiefs all around the country.
Well, I'm sure we celebrate that. My question was, do you acknowledge that under your government 20,000 police officers were cut?
Again, I've repeated myself twice already, but I'll say it again.
I know, because you're not answering the question. My question was, do you acknowledge that 20,000 police officers were cut?
Isn't the answer just yes, Home Secretary?
If we meet our target, and we're confident that we're going to, we will have surpassed any number that was on the books even prior to 2010. So that represents a record number, higher than the Labour years, higher than previous administration. So looking at what's happened in the last 10 years is somewhat of an irrelevance.
Your illegal migration bill returns to the House of Commons today, doesn't it? This is the law that would allow the government to send migrants who arrive in small boats onto Rwanda or other countries. The Equality and Human Rights Commission is now warning that those plans, quote, risk exposing people to serious harm. What do you think? And Phil, when you see that written down, serious harm potentially, how does that make you feel about this policy that you're promoting?
I disagree with that assertion.
Why did we bring civilians out earlier?
We want to support, well, we are
that is what we are doing. I think we can quibble about particular times, but what we are actually doing here is setting out an extensive programme of support. As I said, we've put in over 1,000 armed forces personnel who are out there. We are doing it now. We have been working on this for several days.
The Germans say we were slower. The Germans and French were bringing out British citizens because we weren't doing it.
I don't think it's right to make this some kind of competition.
It's not a competition.
We've got a very different
terrified for their lives.
The UK has a very different scenario and community and cohorts in terms of numbers compared to other countries.
How embarrassing has it been for you to face so much opposition to this from even some of your own Conservative colleagues?
Well, I dispute that characterisation. Actually, we're now heading into the final stage in the Commons later today. The bill has passed so far with strong majorities in the Commons. The parliamentary process necessarily involves frank and constructive debate. I'm grateful to all colleagues who have engaged productively with the passage of the bill, and I look forward and I encourage all my colleagues to get behind it tonight. But I'm looking forward to progressing with this important piece of legislation so that we can take action on behalf of the British people to stop illegal migration.
Totally contrary, of course, to the view of the Equality and Human Rights Commission that says the bill risks exposing people, including children, to serious harm.
See some new police officers on the beat and otherwise. You said that they should no longer pander to political correctness. What did you mean?
Well, I think whilst our police officers are brave and excellent on the whole, I think there has been a tendency for the public to grow weary of some of the time-wasting behaviour that police have been engaged in. So I don't want the police to be engaged in politically debates on social media about gender. I don't want the police to be shying away from tackling really important issues like grooming gangs because of political correctness. We were elected on a manifesto commitment to recruit 20,000 new officers. I'm delighted that we're confident that we're on track to secure that goal.
So you think it's irrelevant what the police numbers were like in 2017? You don't think that if the police forces were down by 20,000 officers, that might have affected how they tackle crime?
Listen, we came into power in 2010 inheriting a financial crisis and a huge, no money was left by the Labour government.